All right, I think we've waited long enough. We're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm Courtney Harchak. I am the Director of Client Success here at Tracker, and we're going to show you our recruitment workflow. It's been a little while since we've done this, so we always love to do a refresher course. So you guys remember how to take your candidates and move them through the actual workflow and get them hired. We'll also look at some searching, obviously, from the beginning there, and really get you refreshed on how to use Tracker. We've also added some new options, some new features that I'll take a look at real quick. And we'll try to take some questions at the end. Feel free to use the question panel if needed. And if not, you'll be able to reach out direct to us, to your account manager or to our client support email address if you do have specific questions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, jump right in here and get started. So here you're going to see our home screen. I'm logged into Tracker. And as you know, we have our Add New Record button. So here you could use this to create a new job. So if you log in, you have a brand new job to create, you could create a new job from here. You'd have to manually fill out the company name, put in the job type, and then go ahead and hit OK and edit or OK, and that job would be created. Now, we found one of the faster ways to do it is to actually go into a contact record and create the job from there. There's usually somebody that's like the hiring manager or someone along those lines that have reached out to you to say, hey, I have this open job that need filled. So you're going to be sending them resumes, maybe setting up that interview. So typically you'd want to go into that contact record, come into the Add New Record button and click on New Job. From here, you'd actually see that the company is already filled out. I would then be able to give it a name, and I would also be able to select the job type. Now, one of the other things that you can do is use our specification upload here. That is where if you have a specification for a job that is either a Word document or is a PDF, you can actually click Select File, find it on your computer, and upload it. And what we'll do is the parser will read it and try to give you the best job name possible and also put in a job description. From there, you'll want to edit it, take a look at it, maybe give it an edit if needed, but it is a really great start. If you don't want to use that specification parser, that is fine. You can manually create the job name, typing in whatever you would like, selecting the job type, and hitting OK and edit to get into that job. I've already created a job today, so I'm going to go into that job and take a look at it. So here you'll see our job record, and we have some basic information at the top. As you guys know, we do keep the job name, the company that it's associated to, the type of job, and the contact on the job. Now, keep in mind, if for some reason you accidentally chose the wrong job type in the original creation screen, it's okay. Don't you worry. You can come into here and change to whatever job type that you have. If you make any edits, don't forget you can hit Save Only and refresh the screen once you have it saved, or hit Save and Close, and that will close the record. It just depends on what you're updating. Here you'll see your job status. Now, depending on what you guys have set up to customize your system, you may see that it shows open. That is typically what we say here, open. So that would mean that the job has been opened up, but it hasn't progressed where anything is moved on to the client. But please do keep in mind that this is fully customizable, so your system might be slightly different. Typically, the person that creates the job is the job owner. If it's someone else, you can feel free if you have access to change it, and you can pick their role here. So what role does this person play on this job? This list is customizable as well. So you could have different options in here, or you could add them if you would like. If you'd like to use our commission reporting, you actually have percentages that you can set against each user as well. And this will automatically update during your commission once you've placed that job. Make sure to capture the information that is important to you. It's really important to fill out what you might need to report on. So we don't really force you to create or fill out these fields if it's not needed, but we feel it's really important if you like to report on something to fill that out. So you guys want to come together as a company, maybe have a sit down and have a meeting and talk about what fields are important to you. What do you want to make sure to be able to report on, maybe at the end of the week or month or year? Once you know that, then you're going to make sure that everybody starts to fill those out. It's kind of different what's important to every company. So feel free to have that discussion and decide for yourselves what you should be filling out. One that I find a lot of people like is this job source field. Where did the job come from, right? So this list is customizable. So it might have came from, maybe you've done a marketing scheme where you sent out a bunch of emails, or a salesperson, tracked it down. So you want to report on that in the end, you're going to want to make sure to fill that out. Moving on down, we have some of our basic info. So your job description, which could be candidate facing. So I always make sure to say, put in here what you wouldn't mind a candidate seeing. But we also know there's going to be internal things that you guys talk about, right? So the strategy commentary area here is super important, right? You can use that so you can put notes about the job or anything that anybody else is working on the job, something that they may want to see. So here you could fill that out and it would not be candidate facing. You do have some other fields down here, company reference or the required skills. Depending on what you need to fill out, again, you can fill those out as needed. And then we also have number of positions. So a number of positions would really be able to give you the opportunity to keep this job open until that many people are working on the job. So here you can up this to whatever number that you would like. One of the newer features that we've added into Tracker is a working folder. This is really cool because it is a link direct to this job into our portal. And what you can do is actually share your candidates right in the portal itself, where the contact here can log in with their own credentials and view candidates that you've shared with them. I'll show you how to do that once we get to the shortlist, but it's really neat that we have this here. You can add this to some templates and be able to send that out so they can link direct to this job. Now, as I said before, this is a demo database and your database might be set up slightly differently, but keep in mind, if you wanted to have job screening questions that you're talking to your client about, so all different types of information that you need to collect about this job, you guys can create custom fields, fill those in, whatever you want to capture, you can have. And another thing to keep in mind is this could be on a totally different tab. If you didn't want to scroll here, you could come up to the top and create new tabs, call them whatever you would like. You could have a job screening tab all on its own that had just the job screening notes on there. That is up to you. If that's not something you do, you don't have to add this at all. So Tracker is really flexible to be able to work how you need to work. Don't forget, we're going to have job dates and fees. In here, you're going to see a start date and an end date. And that is because this job, if I scroll up to the top, is a contract position. So there you're going to have a start date and an end date. You're also going to have a pay rate and a bill rate, or pay rate and a charge rate. Okay, that's going to be really important to capture on a job like this. If it was a permanent job, it would really just have a start date and a salary. So depending on the job type, it will function these dates and fees separately. Another really neat thing here is our job life cycle. You'll see this fill out as we start to progress the job through the process. Now, we don't want to forget that you're going to want to post these jobs out onto your website maybe, or maybe through some different job boards. So here you have that whole section. You can fill out what you need and get that right to your website so you can get your applicants back into Tracker. Don't forget too, as I keep reiterating here, systems are customizable. So your system may be laid out slightly differently than this, or you might be missing some or don't have certain things in your layout that can be added later if you would like to add them, or if there are things that you want to remove, you can remove those as well. We're always going to have a section for activities. That way you can track all the activities going on with the candidates. And the next part is going to be one of the biggest parts to start this job is going to be our long list search. So here, your recruiters are really going to live on this screen here. This is where they're going to find their candidates, reach out to them, and get them onto that short list so they can get them out to the client. So here you're going to see over on the left-hand side is a resume search. This literally searches the resume. Okay, guys. Here we'll do the Boolean for you. So if you wanted to type keywords, you could do one word and then enter. You can also do a second word and then enter. And keep in mind that would search those words separately. Now, if you wanted to do a phrase, you would just hit the first word, type that up, space, second word, enter, and that would keep it as a phrase here. So you'd be able to search that phrase of Java developer. Here, we're going to do the Boolean for you. Okay, so these would be all the ands, all the or words, and all the nots. So this can be used by any recruiter. So the recruiter that's super brand new, if they're not familiar with how to create a Boolean, they could use this right away. Or for those of you that are super comfortable just doing keyword searches, you could do that, and this will search the resume. For those of you that are a bit more advanced, you can use that Boolean search option here. And you can fill this Boolean box up as however you need, okay? We will take a really fancy Boolean, any type of basic Boolean that you would run. We also have something called semantics. It's a really neat feature where if I type in a word and I click on semantics, I can click onto here and see all the different words that would be near Java that I would want to search for. And we actually build the Boolean for you and we throw all the ors in. So it makes it really quick, okay? You guys would build that out and be able to make that how you need. I'm gonna keep this real simple here. I'm gonna put in Java and Microsoft. And we're gonna go through a few other things in here. Don't forget, if you guys have contracts with job boards, you can add them into here and they can be searched at the same time. Now, over on the right, we have found that this candidate search here, which searches the actual candidate record, we found that this is the top 4 ways that most recruiters search. So some of you guys, a radius might be really important. They need to be in a certain area. This is super helpful. I'm going to take that off for now, but don't forget that it's there. I think salary, this is great. This is a really big thing. If you have a job title that has varying salaries and you only want to talk to the people that you know would fall into this particular salary for this particular job. So here you could search the annual or the hourly, but you have to make sure that you're filling it out in the candidate record. So please do keep that in mind. The more you fill out in the candidate records, the quicker your search can be, the better your results are going to be. Another one that I really like here is the work type. So here you can decide if this is a contract position, like we set up here. If you put in a candidate record that they'll work on contract positions, it will only pull those people back that have it set up for contract. I think that's important as well. You don't want to waste your time going after people that are only thinking about permanent positions or permanent placements and waste your time talking to them about a contract position. You want to find the best candidates and find them fast. Now, guys, I know this doesn't probably seem like a lot, but as many of you do know, we have this advanced search here. So here, this is going to give you tons of different ways to search these candidates, okay? For those of you that are using our skills, you can skill search the candidates, and you can use that on top of the resume search, or you can use it on your own. We also have many other options down here. Any of your custom fields are fully searchable. So you just pick that one, fill out that search. And one that I do like to point out that a lot of people skip over are achieve shortlist status here. This means if I pick a status from here, a candidate would have to match everything else that I put in, and they would have had to have been on a shortlist and passed through that status. So something like a further interview, that might be super helpful because they've gone that far into the process of hiring. So you know that they're pretty good. They haven't been rejected after maybe a resume was sent to client. When it comes to your contract positions, completed assignment might be a good thing. You only want those contractors that have successfully completed assignments. So this would narrow down your pool to only those people. So keep that in mind when you have when you're taking a look at this. It really is up to you what you use to decide on how you're going to search. Last but not least, on this page here is last contacted. This here is super helpful as well. you can decide a time frame of when people were last contacted. I'm just going to pick something random here. And then this expands. You could say by what type, how were they contacted? Was it an inbound or outbound? And maybe how many times? So again, we want you to find the best candidates and we want you to find them fast. So as long as you're filling out these details in Tracker, you will be able to filter and get to those really great candidates and get them out the door so you can get them hired. A new feature that we've added in, guys, is this target company list. So just keep that in mind. This is a way to put companies on here to show what to go after or what not to go after. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to dig into this, but you can take a look at it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask your client success manager or reach out to us direct, and we will help you understand that. Once you're all set with your search, you can go ahead and run it, and we'll jump onto the long list to take a look at how to get in touch with these people. So if we fetch the long list, if we are doing a resume search, keep in mind that we are going to rank candidates. If there are other things involved, we will then not rank those candidates. Another thing to keep in mind is if we had run the search through the job board, you would see those results right through the tabs here. And another new feature that we added for those of you that are using the job boards or would like to, we have a new watchdog feature. If you would like to run a watchdog, which is a search that runs overnight for you, you could run that from here. I can set it up, and what it would do is it would run this and whatever other parameters that I put in and find those candidates on the job boards. It would run overnight, and you do have an option to auto parse those candidates. If I click into here, I can say set up a watchdog. You have the option to run it for a maximum of 2 weeks at a time. So I can say, okay, we can stop this in 2 weeks. We also have a new feature called auto match. And what auto match does is auto match would allow you to, if any candidate comes into the system, no matter how they come in, so if another recruiter finds a candidate, they would auto match to your job if they fit the search, okay? So here we could say, yes, we would shortlist them, and then you could run this search and be able to download candidates from the job boards as well. You'll get an email notification on both cases, whether people were auto matched or whether they were matched on a watchdog. So that way you can go back in and start to take a look at those candidates and see if you want to move them forward. Tons of different ways to look at these candidates, okay? If you had done a radius search, there's a map feature where if you click on this, it would pinpoint all the candidates and where they are in relation to the job itself. You would see little tiny purple icons for those people, and then you would be able to view their resumes right from here, okay? I'm gonna go back to the list. You can also filter different options if needed. And the biggest, most important part of this page, I would say, or one of the most important parts, is this columns section here. This is adjustable by user. So I would stress to you to come in anytime you see that column button and add the columns that are important to you. What is important for you to see on this page to make your job easier? You can select or deselect whatever you would like. Keep in mind, whatever is checked off is what is actually showing here. And if you then scroll down, everything else that's available is alphabetized. Even your custom fields that are inside your candidate record are shown here as well. So don't forget, please feel free. Please make sure to make Tracker your home. You're going to be living in here. We want to make sure, again, find these candidates, find them fast, make your life easier by putting in the certain columns that you need. And don't forget that they're adjustable, so you can move them around if needed. Now, obviously, you're going to want to look at these candidates, right? Now you have the listing here. We're going to want to start to take a look. So if I click on their name, or if you have the little preview eye here, you kind of do the same thing, but that's going to bring you into their resume. It's going to show you all the words that we searched, and they're highlighted in different colors. We break down their job history. We show you all the activities that have ever happened with this candidate. So you have a really good picture right on this screen of exactly this candidate. Any of the clients that I have trained in the recent days, you'll know how much I talk about this listings tab here. It is a very simple looking page, right? It's not glitzy, it's not fancy, but goodness, it tells you so much about this candidate, okay? You would be able to see how many shortlists this person has been on and what status have they gotten to. So here I can see they were placed perm, here they were shortlisted. So they are sitting at resume sent to client. So don't forget to demo database. So it might have a bit more info than what maybe your candidates would show. But for me, this page right here, when it comes to a contract position, it tells you so much. You're able to see, okay, if this person was placed, or sometimes it's called a completed assignment, you would say, okay, completed, or placed. Okay, so every job that you've put this person on, they've completed that assignment. You are going to want to call them, especially if that resume fits the skills. You're going to want to call them right away and get them moving onto the short list so you can present them to the client. So again, this page is very, very simple, but it tells you a whole lot. You're also able to see the candidate record right from here if needed, so you can see their details. If they do have timestamp notes, you'd be able to see that here. One of the new features that we also have added is a word cloud. Here you can see what stands out on their resume. You can reach out to candidates right from here. So I can send them an email or I can click to dial. I can also log activities, create agency resumes if needed, open the agency resume. So you have a lot of options on here if you need to work direct with this one candidate. You can then go up and down the list using the up and down arrows, and you'll see in the back, it's kind of changing, going to the different candidates. And then you can also undock this screen. So what that will allow you to do, oops, it's somehow, it went a little too high on me there. So sorry about that. I'm going to grab this. I'm just going to close that out. But anyway, you'd be able to compare. So you'd be able to open this up and compare two different resumes or three different resumes. It doesn't look as great on, on one screen here, but if you have two, it makes it a lot easier to read it. That way you don't have to kind of move the pages around. So now we're looking at these candidates. Sure, you can reach out to them singly, but of course it's going to take you some time. So something that we've added in for people is being able to reach out in bulk. So here you can check these off, which would select this entire page, which is typically 50 people. And here you can reach out in bulk. So it's up to you. You can actually check this whole page off, or you can decide, okay, I only want to reach out to these certain people for some reason, whatever that reason is. You can only select certain, or you can do the whole page. Now here, if I click on the down arrow, because this is our action button here, I can send a bulk email to these people and really, really quickly, okay? Short amount of time. You're going to see it says send a separate personalized emails, which is great. So I can pick a template here. And here you'll see, even though everybody's in the to field, like I said, it says send a separate personalized email. So you're going to see the tag on here, which means it's going to tag each person's name and everybody gets one email. No more BCCing. We don't do that anymore. No need to. We've evolved. No reason for that. So here it would say, hi, Adam. Hi, Amit. Anybody else that's on here. I have an exciting job opportunity, open up for a job developer, think you're a perfect fit. And you'll see here, Java developer, it knows that because I have a tag in the background that fills that out back here. I also have here the job description. And what I did is I actually tagged it so it pulls in the published job description. So it's nice and neat, nice and clean. It's what would be on your website. And it's really awesome to see it right from here. Now, keep in mind that template in the back end, it should hopefully get you, like 80% of the way, 90% of the way. If you need to edit it, you totally can. So you can come into here and remove some things if you didn't want this heading, you didn't want them to see that, or you can take this out if needed, and that would just change it for this initial send. You can also add things at the end. So I need to submit you by Friday, so please call me ASAP. Put anything that you want in there. It's totally up to you. Now, the beauty of this is, again, I can hit send and it is going to go out to that many people, right? Really quick, really easy, super fast, and I can continue working my day. So hopefully I don't have to edit it too much and I've reached out to however many people I had checked off really quickly. Now, some other people like to be contacted via text. You know your candidates best, right? So it's up to you. We have a partnership with a company called ZipWhip. So you would be able to sign up with them and send out text messages and do single text messages or bulk text messages. It's really up to you. But this is another one. It's going to send a separate personalized text. Okay. So this one, you can choose a template. So it can be a really short template, right? Because you're limited to 250 characters on a text message, which makes sense. So you could say something like, hey, I just emailed you a job description. Go check it out. That way people look at the text really quick. They're then able to see that and then hop into their email. And again, like we said, it's going to be sent as a personalized separate text if there is a tag in there, or it will just be a separate text. We would never want to share phone numbers with everybody. So here you would be able to just type up your text and hit send. As they start to filter in, you can start, taking notes. You can click on this down arrow. You'll see some of the same things that we had seen on the specific when you clicked into this quick view here. So here you can log an activity. If you maybe gave a telephone call, you can come in and put your notes about that candidate if needed, create follow-ups if needed, and you can also start a sequence. So a sequence would be, a series of emails or different types of reach out, whether it be emails, text messages, and triggering maybe an activity in Tracker to remind you to follow up. So you could come into here and you could start a sequence for the selected candidates. And maybe today an instant email goes out with that job description, and then another email would go out tomorrow saying, hey, time's running out, need to hear back from you. And you can set that up how you need by using our sequences here. We've also added a new feature, guys. You can do bulk activities from here. So if you wanted to create maybe a bulk telephone call so you can go back to your activities list and call them all later, you could come in and log a bulk activity here. And you can pick the type of activity, and you can also assign them to someone else. So maybe the sourcers, if you have sourcers finding candidates, they can then assign to the recruiter to say, hey, give these people a call, and everybody would get an activity inside Tracker to set a call up or whatever that activity happens to be to complete that activity with those candidates. Because you're scheduling it on the job itself, the job will also be associated to those activities. Now, once you're starting to really like these candidates or they come in and you want to move them forward, you can go ahead and just start shortlisting them. You can also shortlist in bulk, as you can see up here if needed, but feel free. We can go ahead to the next page and we can work on this next page if needed. I'm going to shortlist myself, and we have a couple other people on here, okay? Now we want to work those candidates through this list here. All right, guys, this is going to be another one to talk about to say, hey, your system might be slightly different. Your steps might be slightly different. I got to go with the general here and kind of keep it open to everyone. So just keep in mind, you may have specific practices in your business that you do or don't do. If I'm showing you something that you don't do, that does not mean you have to start doing these types of activities. We do not force you to go through this whole process. You only are supposed to do it if you have to and if you want to report, okay? So now you shortlisted your candidates. Some of you want to do internal submittals. Like I said, some of you guys have sourcers that are finding these candidates and you want to get that to the recruiter or the account manager, however your terminology is, however your business works. So what you can do is you can take this whole list, so that sourcer can grab that whole list, or they can do one at a time, or they can be picky and just pick certain people. See, they can uncheck if wanted, however you guys want to work. You can come into here and you are going to send that candidate resume, okay? Here, you're going to want to pick the person that you're sending it to, okay? So we're going to pick the user. And then we're also going to see here all the candidates listed. We're going to see all of their resumes that we have, and if they have agency resumes. So just a quick little refresher, if you don't remember what an agency resume is, that is a blinded out resume. So it's a resume where you've removed all the candidate contact details and maybe put your logo on there, maybe put your contact details on there. We've got lots of people doing it. They can be built right in Tracker. You can build it right from here if you wanted. If there's a red X, that means this candidate does not have one. So you might want to click on this and create one. Once you're all set, if you want to pick a different resume, you can. And if you guys are using our video resumes and these candidates have them, they'll be listed here. That's another new feature that we've added, guys. We are constantly adding to Tracker. So please make sure you're looking out for our emails. We are always adding something new. We've got video resumes that candidates can record and you can send them right to the client if needed. So here, once you have this all set up, you can go ahead and hit preview. It is going to open up another template, and Tracker is smart. So we know if you've picked an internal person, it's going to pick an internal submittal template. That template might be slightly different, right? You're going to tell each other things internally differently than you talk to the client. So here it actually pulls in that job name, which is great. It pulls in all of those candidates, attaches all of their resumes. Just like the other template, you can maybe create some, edit it a little bit if needed. If not, you can go ahead and just hit send. And the great thing is this is going to move over. It's going to take all of those candidates that I've sent. It's going to move them to CV review. That is the terminology in my system. Yours might say internal submittal. You'll see the card itself says internal submission. And it really, as long as you're doing your job, it moves everything and progresses everything forward. On top of that, you can now report. So me as a user, I'm pretending to be Freddie today. I now can get credit for 5 internal submittals today. I didn't have to do anything extra. All I needed to do is send those emails out. Now, the next most important part, so I send these out, I send them to my colleague. They think, you know what, these 5 people, they are great. I love them. I want to get them out to the client. So again, you can either pick and do multiples, or you can pick a single person. So here you can click on the down arrow and you can say, okay, I want to send the candidate resume to the client. So here we always pick the contact on the job, but sometimes that's not the person that you're sending them to. So we will list all of the contacts that are associated with the company that you're working with in here, and you could pick somebody else if needed, okay? Same screen again, guys. We try to keep it real easy. We try to keep it simple to learn. You're looking at the same thing. So you got the resume. It's an agency resume. If you had a video resume, it would show you it here, and you can go ahead and hit preview. Now, again, this is something to keep in mind. We know that you're sending to the client. So we're going to pick the resume to client, or whatever your template is to send those resumes to the client. We're going to pick that resume. Pick that template for you. If you have a different template though, you can come into here and pick it up. Some of you guys have certain ways that you send certain things to certain clients. So it might not be as easy as auto picking, but you can come into here and pick anything that you would like. Keep in mind, this might not be exactly what your template looks like. Apologies for the broken image here. I got to get that updated. But here you can edit this as you need. Again, you can type into here, change things up if needed, and you'll see that the resume is attached. It also fills out, again, that job name for you. So this is reusable over and over again. And then you can go ahead and hit send. What that's going to do is that is going to send that over to the client. It's also going to move me over to resume sent to client. You'll see that the entire job status has moved forward as well. And again, me as Freddie, I get credit for a resume submittal. I know that's a big deal, guys. I know reporting is huge. You want to see what people are doing. So just by doing your job, you are going to get credit for that resume submittal. There's no going back, having to mark things. You don't have to remember. You just sent it out. Now, I do want to remind you guys, I know some of you guys are using VMS systems. So you're having to go into the VMS and you're having to send from there. If that is the case, you can still get credit in Tracker and you can still move candidates forward if you're submitting outside of Tracker. You can click on the down arrow here, and then you can go to mark as resume sent. That will then move that candidate over. It will then give that user credit for a resume submittal, but nothing is sent out of Tracker. I know there are times when that is a necessity and you have to use it. If it is not a necessity, I really do stress to please make sure to use that email and send the resume to the client. Now, next could be, okay, so the candidate reviews that candidate, the client reviews that candidate, and they may reject them. It happens every once in a while. So we do have a new feature in Tracker where you can drag over to the rejected section here. You can have all your rejection statuses come up. So here you can decide what that is. So maybe the client rejected them. And then here you can put a status reason. So here, these are all fully customizable. So you can give the reason as to why they were rejected. So here we can say, okay, resume not suitable for the role, hit okay. And you see it's already over here and it's now set. If I click into this, you'll actually see the status note and that status sticks with that candidate. If you haven't set that up yet, please let us know and we can help you out with that. Now, the same thing goes if you've done an internal submittal, you can also reject somebody internally. So you can come into here and you could say rejected by account manager or whatever your terminology is that you internally rejected them and why. So here, maybe they couldn't supply references. So we say, okay, and that is why they were rejected. I think that's good to see, especially guys, if you have newer recruiters or if you have newer sourcers, you're able to really take a look and kind of reflect and look on reporting to see what kind of quality candidates are being sent over to internally prior to be sending to the client. Now, ideally, which I'm hoping happens to you guys most of your time, is that you are sending these amazing candidates because you found them quick and you did a really great search. So you should be being able to move them over to an interview status. So for those of you that set up interviews where you need to send an email to the contact, you need to send an email to the client, I'm sorry, an email to the client and an email to the candidate, you can do that right from Tracker and also get an activity of that interview. So you as a user get credit for that interview. So we've done a really cool thing here. If you click on the down arrow and you come down here, we have something called arrange an interview. So here, I can arrange an interview with the person that is the contact on the job. If there are other people at that company that need to be in, they could do that here. You have a location. Now, not everybody's going on site, guys. I totally know that. Some people are, some people aren't. This location field has to be filled out, but it does not have to be an address. So for those of you that are doing those phone interviews, Zoom meetings, whatever they happen to be on Teams, you could take this address out and you could put into here what the phone number is. So you could say, please call, right? Or join on this link and have a link in there. It's really up to you what you want to put in. This location, though, just keep in mind, does auto-populate from the profile. We try to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you guys. We don't want you manually updating absolutely everything in Tracker, so we do try and help out, you'll notice quite often. The next thing to just really take a look at is we always put people's email addresses here. So the interviewer, you'll see they have an email address. The candidate, you'll see has an email address. I never want you to assume that you're sending out an email to people that don't have email addresses, okay? So again, try and help you out. You're going to pick the day and the time of the interview. So we could say, okay, my interview's on Friday, and you'll see this fancy new clock, guys. Hopefully you've seen it before. So we can say, okay, this is at 1, and then we could say 30. Oh, here. And that was 31, but I can move it back over if I want. I can also type in this section here, but once I hit done, that will update. You're going to want to put this in your time zone, guys. People ask me that all the time. You're going to want to put this in your time zone. That way, when the calendar invite goes out, it can adjust if people are in other time zones. We're wanting everybody to get an email confirmation of this, so we're going to check that off. And then you'll see here we have a template that can go direct to the interviewer and a template that can go to the candidate. Guys, feel free to edit these. Feel free to make them what you would like. There's different tags to pull different information in. It is customizable. Take the time to do it because once you do it, you should be set and you don't have to do a lot of work in the end. We're always going to include that ICS attachment, which is the calendar invite. You can pick these other options. And another new feature, guys, here we can add another resume. Okay, so we can say add this resume in. I'm actually going to do the second one here. And that way, this interviewer has a fresh resume attached to this email, okay? If I go ahead and hit send, it will then move me over to interview. It will send out an email to the person here. It will also send out an email to me as the candidate and as Freddie as the user gets credit for that interview scheduling. All right, guys. Yeah, and we try to make things as easy as absolutely possible. So we're almost done with this process because ideally I only do one interview and I get an offer, right? Because that's the way we work around here. I'm kidding. You guys can do as many interviews as you want. I know this process can sometimes be tedious. So here you can just do another arrange an interview if you want to. And that way this would progress it to the next interview status that you have in Tracker. Now, for those of you that haven't seen this, we can do video interviews as well. So it's a one-way video interview. If you just wanted to interview the candidate and they answer some questions, you can set that up right from here. That is another one of our newer features. And then for those of you that don't set anything up, so if maybe some of you just create an interview activity, you just want to keep that as like something that you have in the system, you want to get credit for that interview, you can do create an interview activity, put the basics in, and then just hit OK. And that way I then get credit for that interview. It will also move me over to second interview or further interview, whatever your status might be, and it updates here. Okay. Next one is going to be the offer. So guys, you can send out emails, right? You can create an email template that sends an offer. So you can come into here if there's an offer letter, you can have something like that. And something like this could move me over. And this doesn't even have too much info in it, right? It doesn't have to spell it all out if you didn't want it to. You can go have this say, we're excited to offer you the position for Java developer with Divine Chocolate. It auto-fill that in. And then please contact me so we can go over the next steps. There's no need. You don't have to put in all the information. You don't have to put in salary, start date, or any of that. It could just be super basic. You can come in, hit send, and that's going to move me over onto offer, and the whole job's going to move to offer. We also have custom forms, guys. So after you talk to me about the offer, you might want to send me a custom form from inside Tracker saying, I start as Divine Chocolate, my pay rate is this, my start date is this, and have me sign it. I would then get to sign it online. I would get as the candidate a copy as a PDF of that form, agreeing to this position. And then you as a recruiter would have that form come right back into Tracker, signed and stored in that record that you sent it from. Okay. Now we can also place someone, of course, right? It's gonna be the most important part. So placing someone's pretty easy. You can click into this blue placement record here, pick the status. So quite often your contract is a different status than your permanent hires. It might say direct hire, it might say placed perm, it might say on assignment. So keep in mind, whatever your terminology is, you are gonna wanna pick that for that contract position, because that's what this is here. These are some custom fields that we've added in. If you need to add those in, feel free, or different types of custom fields to capture different info, you can. Here, we're going to want to put the start date of the contract. So here we can say, okay, I'm starting on Monday. And here we can say the end date is maybe October 30th. You can put a start time and end time if needed. That way, that can fill out on a form if you would like, but it is not mandatory. Always put in a pay rate and a charge rate. Overtime, if it's possible, we'll put that in here. Fill out any margins or taxes. Another new feature that we put in, guys, is a type ahead here. So here you could type in, this one just says state. So I could put in something like this, and then I can pick it and just makes it easier. This list is fully customizable for any of the margins, taxes, or burdens that you are putting on your placements. It can be percentage based or flat, like dollar amount based. You can set it up to have a predetermined percentage, or you can type it in, or you can set it up to have a predetermined flat rate or type that flat rate in. Once you figure that all out, you can go ahead and hit save only. You may need to fill out some other options on your placement form here. That is our placement record, I should say. That is, again, a business decision. It is up to you on how your company works. And quite often what I like to do, if there is just one person on this job, I will come in, I will say update my job dates and values. This is going to update the overall job. I showed it way back in the beginning. Hopefully you guys remember. It will update then the start date and end date to match what I had on my placement record, and the pay rates, the charge rates, and the actual value of that job. So when I say yes, it's going to say, remember to save my job record. So I can save and close this, hit save only. And here you'll see on the profile where my dates and fees were, you'll see all of this information filled out here. You've now successfully placed a candidate. It's very much the same for a direct hire. So please keep in mind, you wouldn't have a pay rate or a charge rate. It would just say salary and a start date, but the other steps are very much the same. As I had said in the beginning, please keep in mind, you do not have to follow all of those steps. If you don't do internal submittals, you don't have what steps that you need, and the workflow will work perfectly as long as you just follow what you need to do. I see a couple of questions on here. So I'm just going to answer those if you guys don't mind sticking around. I know this was a little bit longer, but of a webinar. So I appreciate you sticking it out with me. Somebody asked if there is a recording. Yes, there will be a recording of this. I think it's shared out to you via email, but it will be posted to the website as well. The next question is what happens when a client clicks on the interview button? Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. So you were looking here, and if you had sent out that resume here, and we did preview, and we saw some buttons that says interview, hire, and reject. Really cool feature. So here for the interview, if the client clicks on that, you will, as a recruiter, get a notification inside Tracker that says, whoever the contact is would like to interview Ami Patel, and then you'll need to set it up. So you get a notification pop up in Tracker, and then you need to go set that up. Same thing with hire. If they hit that button, it will give you a notification. It will let you know that the contact wants to hire this person on this particular job. The reject one's kind of cool because the reject one actually picks up the candidate and drops them over into rejected and shows that the client rejected them. The other ones, we don't really want to auto do anything because obviously it needs a little bit of a handheld option. Hopefully that answers that question for you. And somebody else is asking, what are the indicators? So the indicators here are different options. You can set up different features to say are certain criteria met to move this through. So something along the lines of is paperwork filled out, and it would let you know that if it's cleared or not cleared, and it would turn different colors here. You can try to click on this help and type in indicators. There is a bit of a setup on that, but feel free to reach out to us and we'll totally help you with that. Next question is, how does this info push to QuickBooks Online? So QuickBooks Online, you'll have to create an invoice. Once you create an invoice, so if I wanted to create an invoice, if I remember here, I can create an invoice with that candidate. So my permanent placement here, it's going to pick up. I'm sorry, this was if I had a permanent placement, it would be a little bit different. It would pick up that fee, whatever that fee was in here. If you did it with timesheets, you could do your temp timesheets here, but I don't have any time scheduled, so it's not going to bill anything. But essentially, you'll create this here. If I save it, I can then come here and send it to my account system. It will then send this invoice for the fee as a Java developer for this company, Divine Chocolate, into QuickBooks Online. You can also do it in bulk through our invoices section. If you have more questions about that, feel free to reach out to your client success manager. We'll definitely help you on that. Somebody's asking, can we do an email notification? So I would imagine you are talking about an email notification for those buttons. I think it's only an inside Tracker notification. Your notifications, you say get lost, but they're actually up at the top bell here. So they can't really go anywhere else. So as long as you have that number on the bell, you can then keep this clear. As you move through and kind of complete things, you could go ahead and click on these to find your different notifications and see what they are. So here where it says arrange an interview, that means somebody hit that button that they wanted to arrange an interview with Andy on this job. All right. I understand they tend to pile up on your notifications, but you want to clear them out. So as you complete them, you can hit that check and that will take that off of that list. All right, guys. Well, I really do appreciate you stopping by and sitting through this webinar. It will be available to review again if you would like. Keep a lookout. We are doing some other webinars coming up. The schedule has been emailed out to you, and if you haven't seen it, it will be. Reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll also share it on our website as well. I appreciate you stopping by and have a wonderful day.